We'll have ourselves a pretty nice afternoon across KELOLAND with temperatures climbing into the 80s in many locations, low to mid-80s, East River mid-80s, and a few low 90s, though, out to the west, all under partly to mostly sunny skies. Not a bad night as well, partly to mostly clear, with lows mainly dropping into the mid-50s. We have at least one more mainly dry day, rather, but then the rain starts to build in for the second half of the week. We'll talk about that coming up in your extended forecast, but midday in KELOLAND starts right now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group, midday in KELOLAND.
New information on the conditions of a home where 35 animals were rescued. Plus,
several wrongfully detained Americans are on their way home following a controversial deal with Iran. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House, detailing the multi-billion-dollar negotiations.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for having us in. I'm Tom Hansen. A New York man is behind bars in Rapid City accused of murder. Shortly after 9 a.m. Friday morning, police were called to Omaha Street for an unresponsive person. When they arrived, police found the man deceased. An autopsy revealed the man died from a stab wound to the torso. After interviewing witnesses, police identified 50-year-old Philip Chips of Amsterdam, New York, as the suspect. Officers arrested Chips for second-degree murder. A Brookings home where first responders rescued 35 animals was not suitable for people or animals to live in. That's according to court documents filed this morning at the Brookings County Courthouse. Deborah Brandon and Jordan Schulte each faced 10 counts of felony animal cruelty. When authorities went to the home on Tumbleweed Road on the southeastern edge of the city, police say they found holes in the floors and feces throughout the home. Court documents say some of the animals had sores, missing hair, and had signs of malnutrition, which were likely caused by flea infestation. The animals are being treated at the Brookings and Sioux Falls Humane Societies. Two cross-country truck drivers who said they were refused service at a Sioux Falls Denny's are telling their side of the story. Damon Whitfield and Hector Madera held a news conference today with their lawyers. They say it all started when they stopped to grab a bite to eat and were eventually refused service by a waitress on August 23rd. Police were called and the two men decided to leave. The truck drivers say it was a humiliating experience. We'll hear from both of the men and get a response from Denny's later tonight on KELOLAND News. Turning now to a first look at your midday forecast with meteorologist Adam Rutt. Adam, what's going on out there?
Nothing. There we go. The short answer
is that good or bad? I don't know.
It depends on what your preference is on this one. If you want rain, nothing's not a good thing. But if you want to get outside, then you're golden. But we are looking at a little bit of haze in the skies above. There's Aberdeen, 71 with a south wind at 7 miles per hour. And downtown, we can also see a little bit of that smoke out in the distance, 77 at the airport, but a breezy 77. South winds are at 17 miles per hour. So we are going to be dealing with a little more smoke in the atmosphere this time around. This is actually what we're seeing right now over the course of the afternoon and through not just South Dakota, but also going up into Bismarck, North Dakota, and all the way up into Canada. You can see all of those red dots. That's where all of our wildfires are north of Edmonton. And all of that smoke is traveling down along the jet stream and pooling down towards St. Louis, Missouri, and southern portions of Illinois. So unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with that again. So keep that in mind if you do have any outdoor plans, and try not to overdo it if you have any respiratory problems. We're also at 77 in Marshall, 76 in Mobridge, 73 Pierce, 71 for Huron, but some 80s out there. Phillip, Buffalo, and Rapid City, 86, 84, and 82 respectively, but cooler in the hills. That's 75 in Spearfish and 76 in Custer. The winds are making their presence known near and east of the James River Valley, with winds out of the south at 10 to 20 miles per hour in many locations. A calmer afternoon on our hands in central and much of western portions of KELOLAND. For the rest of your day, we'll watch as high temperatures climb mainly into the low to mid-80s in southeastern KELOLAND, with a few upper 70s out there toward Brookings as well as Worthington. For the Northeast, more of the same, mainly in the low to mid 80s, a couple of pockets of upper 70s not out of the question. But as we go over to central and western portions of the region, that's where the heat builds a little bit more. We'll be firmly in the mid 80s with a couple of low 90s out there for good measure. Above average, yes, but we've experienced far worse this month. We do have some cooler temperatures on the way later this week, but it comes with rain. More on that in your forecast.
Thank you, Adam. Well, the Sanford International has its first three-time champion. Steve Stricker shot a final round of 66 on Sunday, claiming his second consecutive championship by one stroke over C.J. Choi. Now, the combination of big names and ideal weather translated into large crowds. The tournament director says nearly 20,000 people attended Saturday's second round.
It just felt like it was a big week from the support standpoint from the crowds. I mean, just walking around these venues here, seeing the crowds following the big groups, it felt like a PGA Tour event.
Now, we'll hear from the champion about why he enjoys playing in Sioux Falls so much tonight on KELOLAND News. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy spoke to the media this morning when asked about the looming possibility of a government shutdown. McCarthy said that every day is going to be a challenge and that no one wins during a government shutdown. Under a proposed stopgap, which McCarthy wants to vote on this week, the government would remain open through the end of October, but with big cuts to non-defense spending. The U.S. has confirmed that 5 Americans who were wrongfully detained in Iran are now free and on their way back to Washington, D.C. to be reunited with their families. Now, in return, 5 Iranians being held in the U.S. have been released, along with about $6 billion in frozen funds. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
5 Americans who have been held as prisoners in Iran for years are now on their way home. They include Imad Shargi, Siamak Namazi, Morad Tabaz, and 2 Americans whose names are being withheld.
These Americans have been suffering a terrible ordeal. I think you all know that. Many of them were held in the Avon prison under ghastly conditions, and that we have been working very, very hard to bring them home to their families just as soon as possible.
The Biden administration reached a deal to secure their release in August, but it wasn't finalized until the last few days. $6 billion in frozen Iranian oil funds were transferred from South Korea to Switzerland and then into a bank account in Qatar. The Biden administration is defending the release of the oil money, insisting that it won't be used for terrorism or its nuclear program.
The funds that are in those accounts in Qatar can only be spent with strict oversight by the Treasury Department and only for humanitarian purposes.
But some on Capitol Hill are criticizing the decision to release the money to Iran.
The administration says this is limited to humanitarian aid, but they also acknowledge that funds are fungible, which means they can move them around and will aid them in being able to do other things.
Congressman Michael Turner says the decision will incentivize Iran and other countries to take more Americans as prisoners, hoping to get a ransom payment. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Also, as part of the deal, the U.S. has released 5 Iranians being held on nonviolent crimes. 2 are set to be released from prison soon anyway, with 3 of them yet to go on trial. Now, 2 of them, who have legal status in the U.S., have chosen to remain in America rather than go back to Iran.